The most devastating conversation of my life had no raised voices in it. There wasn't a fight, no slammed doors, no storming out, just two people sitting down and having a calm discussion about whether to stay married. Take it or leave it. That's where I was. And the truth is, it didn't matter to me either way. Staying married, getting divorced, it was all the same to me. So I said it out loud. There's no reason to stay married. And she agreed. For years, I thought that calm meant we handled it maturely. Two adults, no drama, no screaming. I know better now. That calm was the sound of a marriage that had already been over for a while. We weren't being mature. We were being indifferent. Fights mean somebody's still in the room. Somebody still cares enough to raise their voice. Indifference doesn't slam doors. Indifference just nods and agrees. So if your marriage has gone quiet, don't call it peace yet. It might be peace, or it might be what mine was. Stay with me, and I'll show you the difference. I've been married 3 times. 3 different women, 3 different seasons of my life. Same ending every single time. And here's the math you eventually have to face when it happens. When the same story keeps ending the same way with different people, the problem wasn't in them. The one thing all 3 of those marriages had in common was me. The pattern was traveling with me. It moved when I moved. What most men realize too late is not, I should have tried harder. That's the surface answer. That's the answer that keeps you blaming your effort instead of seeing what was actually going on. The real thing underneath that is a few layers down. And today I'm going to walk you down to it, layer by layer, the same way I had to walk down to it myself. Because some of you watching still have time to catch this early. Your wife is still in the house. She's still reaching. That's the only reason this episode exists. So let me show you where mine actually started. Because it didn't start in my first marriage. It started actually in high school. I dated the same girl for 4 years solid, through all of high school. That was the most committed I'd ever been to anyone. And when she broke up with me, I just walked. No fight, no trying to win her back, no showing up at her door a week later to put it back together. Nothing. I turned around and walked away from 4 years like it was nothing, and I never went back. At 17, that looked like strength. That's what I would have told you it was. Moving on, not chasing, having some pride, but it wasn't strength. It was the move, the one I would go on to repeat for the rest of my life. When it gets hard, when it gets real, when staying would cost me something, just walk and don't look back. I had that move perfected before I was old enough to vote. And here's why that matters to you. Because you probably think your relationship problem started with this woman, this marriage, this season. It didn't. If you look honestly at your own history and you go back before her, back to the beginning, you're going to find the pattern is older than she is. It was there before she ever showed up. And unless you deal with it, it will still be there after she's gone. I'm living proof of that 3 times over. Let me take you inside my best marriage. And I want you to hear how I just said that. It was my best relationship I ever had, and I wasn't in it. Here's what that season looked like. For about 5 years, I did not want to wake up in the morning. I went to bed at night hoping I wouldn't, and I woke up miserable that I did. 5 years of that. I was so devastated by my own failures, so disgusted with myself and where my life had ended up, that I had nothing left, no drive, no ambition, no plan to change anything, and no room for anybody else, including her needs. She could do nothing for me, not because she wasn't trying, because I was unreachable. And here's the part I'm not proud of. I had a theory back then, and it sounded good. That theory was that if I could just get myself right, the marriage would fix itself. Just let me work on me. You're not the problem. We're not the problem. It's me that's the problem, and everything else would fall into place. Now that sounds responsible, doesn't it? It might sound humble. Sounds like a man taking ownership. But look at what it actually meant in practice. It meant that I did all of it alone, behind a locked door, while my wife stood on the other side of it. She got no access to me, no participation in what I was going through. I was renovating a house she was never allowed to enter, and somehow she was supposed to be grateful whenever I finally came out improved. Working on yourself alone inside a marriage is just another way of withholding yourself. Nobody tells you that, but I'm telling you that now. And it gets worse because I despised myself in those years and she didn't know. She didn't know because I never let her know. I hid it completely. And then hear this, I resented her for not knowing. Think about how insane that equation is. Hiding completely, then punish her for not finding you. She was being graded on a test I never showed her, and she had been so good to me, so good. And I was just there, a body in the house. Even at the very end, when she reached for me one more time, we were already going through the doors. I was dropping the kids off one day, and she offered to let me stay for a while. She wanted me to stay. Just stay, just sit down, just talk, be here on an olive branch. And after everything, I declined. Not out of anger. I wasn't mad at her. There was just no one home to receive what she was offering. The same emptiness that ended the marriage couldn't even accept kindness on the way out of it. I was losing a best friend that I had not been a good friend to, let alone a good spouse, and I couldn't even take her hand when she held it out. So here's the layer most men never get to. Because everything I've told you so far adds up to I wasn't in the marriage. And that's true, but it's not the bottom. There's one more floor below it. The bottom is this. The man I was hiding from her didn't exist. Now let that sit for a second because it took me years to see it. All that hiding, all those locked doors, I thought I was protecting her from who I really was. From the failure, from the man I despised. But the man I despised was a portrait, a picture of myself painted by shame and failure and self-contempt. And the portrait was wrong. I let a false verdict about myself and the truest thing I had. Here's what I know now, and I want you to hear it plainly. A man who despises himself cannot receive love. It's not that love isn't offered to him. It's that he can't take delivery of it. When my wife loved me, I couldn't experience it as love. I experienced it as a mistake, something she'd eventually catch and correct. Any day now, she's going to figure out what I already know about me, and this will be over. You can't be loved by a man who isn't there, and you can't be there while you're guarding a lie about who you are. Scripture puts it plainly. Even if we feel guilty, God is greater than our feelings, and he knows everything. 1 John 3, verse 20. God is greater than our feelings. Your feelings about yourself are not the final verdict on you. God's knowledge of you is. He knows everything, the worst of it, yes, but he also knows everything you can't see about yourself from the inside, the shame. And here's the part that will surprise you if you're humble enough to receive it. Who you really are is likely better than how you see yourself. Not perfect, just better. That was true of me for years, and I didn't know it. I let the wrong verdict ruin my life and end my marriage. So here's an assignment for you this week. And listen carefully to this first part. It stays between you and Christ. Nobody else, not your wife, not your buddy, not a post online, just you and him. A pastor friend of mine asks a question that takes every man deep every single time he asks it. I've watched it happen. And here's the question. If you were sitting one-on-one with Jesus, just you and him, what would he say about what he sees when he sees you? Not what you see, what he sees. Sit with that this week, alone. Get somewhere quiet, ask the question, and write down what comes. Be honest about it, and I mean honest in both directions. The things he'd point at that need to change, sure, but also the good in you that you've been refusing to accept. Write that down too. That second list is the one most men can't do. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path of everlasting life. Psalm 139, verse 23 and 24. Now, don't go announcing anything to your wife. Don't make a speech. Don't come out of the room with a declaration. Here's why. Because if you actually get honest with Christ, she will see the change without a press release. Not perfection, a struggle coming out into the open where it belongs. Some honest words where there used to be silence. A man who's present where there used to be a body in the house. That's where restoration begins, quietly as a byproduct of you getting honest with God, and then decide, honestly, do you need recovery? Do you need help beyond what you can do alone? Because some patterns are too old and too deep for a private decision to fix. And I know that from experience too. Wherever and whatever it takes you to become the man you were made to be, go get it. I was married 3 times before I saw any of this. 3 times. The best relationship I ever had ended in the calmest conversation of my life, and I walked away from a best friend I never let in. It's too late for me to fix that one. It is not too late for you. She may still be reaching for you right now, today. I'm telling you what I realized too late so you don't have to, and you can do it one day better.